Everyone's buzzing about the US debt crisis right now. But here's the reality. It's a ticking time bomb and a lot worse than you think. The government has been borrowing money at a reckless pace. But what most people don't realize is how close we are to an economic disaster. Now I'm going to break down what's really happening with America's debt. And trust me, the truth will shock you. Let's talk about this. All right, so I want to take a quick minute, share some thoughts in reference to this whole debt crisis that we're currently experiencing right now, because it's very obvious how bad things are. Just look at the price of gold, as well as other assets that are usually safe havens. So real quick, I want to share with you some things that currently across my radar that should really help you see the timing of things, because something has already broken in the system, and now it's just a matter of time before the world knows. And by the time the world realizes what's going on, every Joe and Jane will be racing to try to protect themselves within the matrix that they have been living comfortably within all of their lives. And things will definitely get a lot worse in the days ahead and very chaotic. And like always, those that have real tangible wealth, whether it be silver or bundles of gold notes that are 24 karat fine gold. Those without will definitely be scrambling to get their hands on some. That's why I'm continuing to remind everybody, if you have not, definitely consider joining the silver team, where you can join me and the community on stacking regularly with no questions asked and being able to help other people. And also with the gold back notes, a more affordable way to get fractional gold into your hands. But nevertheless, one of the primary reasons and things that we have to address is Uncle Sam's out of control credit card addiction. And that is the main premise of how this is escalating. You see, imagine Uncle Sam as your friend who just can't stop swiping his credit card, maxing out everything from groceries to luxury vacations. He's living large, but here's the kicker. He doesn't have the income to pay off his balance. And that's a great analogy to help you understand exactly what Uncle Sam, aka the US government, is doing right now. So it collects some taxes, but nowhere near enough to cover its massive spending habit. What does Uncle Sam do? He takes out a loan. A lot of them. But instead of hitting up a payday lender, he sells US Treasury bonds. So think of it like handing out IOUs to anyone willing to buy them. That's where things get dicey. Just like your overextended friend might struggle to find people willing to lend him money after a while, the US is running out of easy ways as well. And if you think about it, it's very practical. Everybody has that one friend or a friend they used to have that only comes to them when they want to borrow something. That's what's going on now. The US has overextended its ability to borrow, and nations are not showing up to support our debt habits. But here's the real twist. It's not just regular Americans who are getting nervous about Uncle Sam's spending. Foreign countries, which have been some of the biggest buyers of US debt, are starting to have second thoughts. It's becoming more obvious because foreign buyers are starting to get cold feet. So let's say, for example, you got another good friend who's a high roller who loves to spend and splurge, do real big things, spending like crazy, somehow always finds someone to cover his tab. For years, foreign governments like China and Saudi Arabia have been happy to play the role for the US. They saw buying US debt as a safe bet, kind of like investing in a big, reliable company. But now, they're starting to wonder if they're backing the wrong horse. Imagine you're sitting playing blackjack at the table and suddenly the dealer starts acting shady. The cards don't seem to add up, and you're not sure if the game's rigged or not. That's where these foreign buyers are at when it comes to US debt. They're losing confidence. Instead of betting on the US Treasuries, they're starting to put their chips on safer, tangible assets like gold. Why? Because the US economy isn't as stable as it used to be. Rising inflation, unpredictable interest rates, it's like playing poker with someone who's constantly changing the rules on you. This shift is bad for Uncle Sam, who's been relying on these buyers to fund his credit card binge for decades now. Without them, he's going to have to dig even deeper into his bag of tricks. And that's when things really start to unravel. Because not many people know that the crisis isn't about the debt itself. It's the continuous idea of needing to spend. So here's a dirty little secret no one's talking about. The debt is what it is. It's previous promises made to be paid out in the future. It's the government's spending problem and their idea of continuing to make these promises that are the problem. So think of it like a household that's been living beyond its means for years. The credit card bill isn't the issue. It's the fact that the family can't stop buying stuff they don't need. In the case of the US, the government has racked up $35 trillion in debt. They're still spending like there's no tomorrow. This isn't just about a number on a balance sheet. Every dollar the government spends distorts the economy in ways we're all feeling it. Imagine a construction company that wins government contracts to build pointless projects while the small business down the street can't get a loan to expand. That's what's happening on a grand scale. The government's sucking up resources that could be better used by the private sector. And the result, the rich keep getting richer because they hold all the assets that inflate in value when the government prints more currency, while the middle class and the poor get squeezed. It's like watching a game of Monopoly with all their properties keep pass and go and collecting $200 while everyone else is stuck paying rent and landing on taxes. And it's not just the economy that's distorted, it's everyday life. You've seen it. The rising cost of groceries, healthcare, housing. If mankind needs it, it's went up. These aren't isolated problems. They're the ripple effects of a government that's completely lost control of its spending. So you think that all of this money floating out of Washington, that life will be getting better for most Americans. But it's far from it. It feels like they're running in place while the finish line keeps moving further away. So where does all this end is the biggest question. See, the real crisis isn't just the debt. It's what's happened when spending finally catches up to you. And right now, the US is like someone bouncing on a wobbly ladder, stacking on debt on top of another, hoping the whole thing doesn't come crashing down. But if foreign buyers start backing out and inflation continues to rise, the ladder's going to tip over and fast. So the next question you might have, How does this play out? Higher interest rates, skyrocketing inflation, and a government that can't pay for all its promises it's made. And the biggest cost? $27 trillion in Social Security liabilities and $41 trillion in Medicare liability. Then you factor in $219 trillion of unfunded liabilities altogether. That's like maxing out credit cards and then trying to pay the bills with monopoly currency. It doesn't work. And eventually, something breaks. And so the worst part of this is that Washington shows no sign of slowing down. Politicians talk about cutting spending all the time, but it's all smoke and mirrors because they keep giving funds to Ukraine, Syria, Israel, and all these proxy wars in the form of aid. And it's unfortunate that the spending will keep going on and debt will keep piling up higher and higher until it doesn't no more. When that happens, the fallout will be felt by everyone worldwide. So here's the bottom line. We're in a situation that the debt crisis isn't some future problem. It's already happening right now. The middle class or the working class is getting squeezed harder and harder while the wealth gap continues to grow even wider. So the government keeps promising, keeps spending more, driving the economy further into the ground. And unless something changes, we're headed toward a financial disaster that makes 2008 look like just a warm-up party. So the next time someone tells you not to worry about the U.S. debt, remember, it's not the debt that's the problem. It's the fact that Uncle Sam just can't stop swiping our card and spending. And sooner or later, we're all going to have to feel the consequences. So once again, just keeping it 100 with you, keeping it straight. Let you know what's really happening out here, because you won't hear this during this whole political charade that they got going on right now between Trump and Harris. They talk about things that they want you to talk about, not things that really matter. And that's why I started off by talking about gold and silver. Make sure you have enough insurance on your fiat currency so that when things come crashing, you're not left holding the bag. And if you're interested, you got the silver team and you have the opportunity to get real physical gold and the gold backs. Links in the description. Check them out if you're interested. Talk to you later. Peace.